Elton John, you're just being silly. He says, I want to be the center of attention, so I shall sit in the center of the ladies, so I get all the views.
He does, yeah.
He doesn't care that I've had this channel for years before I met him, 8 years. He's like, it's my channel now.
Yep.
I know why everybody's really here. It's for me. And he's right. That's the real reason everyone's here, is for Elton John. Except today, they're here for you. This is my new friend, Marta, and we're here in Barcelona now. Elton John. He says she's my friend. My friend
too.
So crazy. I have been following Marta for years, since early 2020. And 2020 was a big year for everybody. Lots happened globally. But it was an extra big year for you because something pretty life-changing happened in June of 2020. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot I want to talk about. I think the one thing that I'm excited to have you on this channel for many reasons, but the biggest one is because I always talk about the fact that at any point in life, anybody can become disabled.
Absolutely.
At any point in time, people can become blind. And, you know, for me, I was born with my disease. And so people, you know, they don't see themselves in me necessarily because they're like, well, I'm born sighted, like I can see. But you were also born sighted. Your life growing up here in Spain was pretty average.
Yes.
What was your childhood like?
Just like any other child here in Spain, you know, like pretty normal life. My parents, common people with 2 jobs, and yeah, never thought for a second that I could ever go disabled. But as you said, it's something that it could happen to anyone. Like no one is exempt of having an accident, of having, you know, life can change in a second, in a matter of a second. And yes, you were saying, in 2020 I was making soap because I love to do like my own cosmetics and my lotions and my
Well, everybody was DIYing in June.
Well, yeah, that's
everybody's
true.
home making.
That's true.
Think of the days when everybody was at home making. Oh, bless you. Lord above. Everybody was at home making like.
It's way too excited. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elton John. We're done with you. Thank you, babe. You contributed great to this video. Okay, Elton John got kicked out. He's chewing ice in the other room now, happy as a clam. He loved Marta a little too much, but I get it. You have like the most radiant energy, but we'll get there. We'll get to her radiant energy in a bit. So, 2020, June 11th, was it?
Correct. Yes. So yeah, I was making soap in my house. I love to make all these natural cosmetics. And as you were saying, everyone was making like weird stuff.
Sourdough bread,
yeah, all the
learning
time.
Play-Doh.
Yeah. But in my case, like it didn't come with the pandemic. Like that was a passion that I was doing. Like I had since forever. So that day, I was making like my second soap, and I don't know what happened. I still wonder what happened, or people still ask me, and I tell them that I still wonder, but I actually don't think too much of like how could I have changed it, because what happened is what happened, and is that the thing exploded in my face. I became almost instantly blind, and yes. Like,
walk me through that moment. Like you're just making soap, like you have many times before. What was the feeling you had? What was your experience, your sensory experience? What were you hearing and smelling and feeling?
So I feel like my body entered in a shock, like to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, body is wise like that. And what I could smell and taste, it was just like this toxic, it was like caustic soda. So that's the only thing I could taste and smell. It was my body warning me, this is not something you should be on your throat, in your nose.
Yeah.
And then in my eyes, I knew immediately that I was blind. And for a second I thought like, I'm gonna be blind forever, because this is a feeling that I don't think some eyes can survive to.
Yeah, that pain is something that you
Yes.
can't come.
No, I was like, how, like in any part of your body, this is not something that you can overcome. But the moment, and like when my brain clicked, is when David took me to the shower. My husband, he was home, and he took me to the shower, and I was wearing contacts because I was wearing like protective glasses.
Right.
And at one moment I was like, David, help me take the contacts off, because I know that is something that they that is one of the first rules in when you work at a lab. My mom's a chemist, you know, people are like, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I know a couple things, you know. But because I was wearing glasses, I wasn't worried about the contacts. So I was like, David, you have to take my contacts off because they can melt and it can be worse. So yeah, they took the contact of my left eye, and when it came out, I was able to see a little bit. It was like blurred and kind of yellowish, but I was able to see a little bit, and that's where I thought, okay, this just happened. I'm able to see a little bit. Let's go.
Maybe it'll be okay.
Yes. Maybe I can do it. Yeah.
We were chatting. I was chatting with you and your husband David, who went through this whole experience with you, where you were living in America, away from your family and friends, living with your American husband David. You're in this foreign country. You have him there. He puts you in the shower. He calls 911, and both of you said the color of your eyes immediately changed from your normal brown eye color to just foggy.
Yes, it was like grayish, kind of blue. Because it was funny too. Not a lot of people know this. Actually, nobody has seen this picture. But while I was in the shower and David pulled out the contact, I was like, "How does it look? Like, how bad does it look?" And David was like, I don't remember his answer, but I was like, take a picture, as if maybe I could be able to see it later,
right?
Which obviously not. You know?
Yeah. And so you were saying to me that your eyes swelled shut.
Yes.
The EMS came.
Yes.
And what happened from there?
So yeah, as I was telling you, like they swelled so bad that I couldn't even like see at the moment until like David was forcing me to take the contacts. And then first the firefighters came because I didn't have an insurance. So I was like, call them, that's free, maybe, you know, they can help us, we can wrap it up and just go happily, you know, to bed. But no, they were like, okay, you guys need to call the ambulance, take her to a hospital. So we did, and they came. They just put like a wet cloth in my eyes, and we just drove to the hospital. And then I just lived the most 8 terrifying hours of my life. It was just a war against my mind.
Right.
It was really tough because I was really in pain. And
you were only 24 years old at the time. As I said, away from like your family, and it was COVID, so you weren't able to just have people coming into your room, friends or family or loved ones coming into your room. Your family wasn't able to just jump on a plane and fly to see you like they would have if it was any other, you know, time in life. Yeah. But on top of it, it was maybe like 6 p.m. in Seattle. So with the 9-hour difference, it was like a nighttime in Barcelona. And David kept asking me while they were healing me. He was like, let me call your parents, you know, he needed some support of somebody, you know, like they're gonna just be mad at me if I don't tell them. And I was like, David, it's nighttime, they're all sleeping, they can't do anything. Even if they could fly, like now they're asleep, you know. So yeah, it was really drastic. Like the first day and the first few days, it was really drastic, especially because also like the doctors didn't want to tell us like how bad it really is.
I could ask them. I kept asking them like, am I gonna get my sight back? Like, is there a chance? All they said at the beginning was like, we don't know yet, it's really early, but this was really bad. Like, we'll try.
And it wasn't just your eyes. I mean, you had burns on the rest of your face, on your chest. So you were going through like a lot of different treatments. It wasn't just your eyes.
No, actually, like I was in the ICU the couple of weeks that I was at the hospital because like it got into my nose, it got into my mouth, and they were scared that I suffered an intoxication and that maybe I could die from this. I burned my nostrils. I lost my sense of smell and taste for a couple months, which that was interesting. I felt like, but yeah. So, and my face was completely burned and destroyed. Like honestly, like 3 weeks after the accident, when I had a pimple coming out, I've never been so happy of having a pimple. Like, yay, my young skin is doing this, and all the Vaseline and ice that I'm putting on, it's working. But yeah, it was bad at the beginning. But as I was telling you before, because like, you know, we were talking a lot, and we, in a lot of optimistic, we just conceal in a lot of optimistic points of view. And when this happened to me, it was so drastic that I could have died. And my first thought the day after, it was, okay, I'm alive. This is so awesome. Like, I don't care if I'm blind forever. Like, I don't care if I can smell, if I can smell my, you know, husband's farts anymore. Like, I don't care. I'm alive and I have a second chance.
And that's incredible, because to go from having 20/20 vision for 24 years to at the just drop of a hat, now you're totally blind. You can't see anything. And you're just like, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You have no health insurance. You're in this foreign country, racking up ICU bills and surgeries. And how long were you in the hospital?
So I was in there for a couple weeks, and that's where, I almost forgot about this. Like the whole gun of all this. So I didn't have an insurance. I was in my immigration process with my husband. So we just thought we have to open a campaign and like do a GoFundMe and ask people for some money. So my mom in Spain, she was like, okay, you have to make a video, because like, you know, there's fraud, people that don't, you know, might not believe this, that actually happened. So I recorded a video, and what I think it was more shocking for the people, because the video got like millions of views. What I think it like with what people connected the most to, it was that I was telling them, like, if you can donate something, even if it's like €1, please do it. If you can share, like, please share. But if you don't want to do anything of this for whatever reason, just like stop 1 second and appreciate what you have in life and everything that our body does for us, you know. And I think that really
resonated with people.
It vibrated with them, and they were like, wow, if this, you know, I'm complaining all the time about the life that I have, and maybe I have it all, and this girl with a messed up face and blind, all of a sudden she's sitting down at a hospital bed telling me how beautiful life is. Maybe there's something going on, right?
And that's what really took my mom and I, because I don't know how or why, but we were following you before your accident, and you weren't an influencer.
No, I know.
Like, you were like a small normal Instagram account that for some reason God or the universe or whatever you believe in put you in my recommendeds. My mom found it. She thought you and David were cute. She thought you know, she just was like, wow, look at this beautiful girl and her adorable husband, and she just followed you for whatever, and your captions are in Spanish, like, it's not even like she could read what you were saying, but she just followed you. And then one day all of a sudden she was like, oh my God, Molly, and she told me, and obviously we followed your journey ever since. And what took both of us was your attitude. It was how positive you are, because, you know, so many of my followers, just like me, are losing their vision slowly, or just like you, went blind very suddenly and unexpectedly due to accident or illness. And everybody faces it differently, and some have more bad days than others. And I know for me, like, I went through a lot of depression, and I really struggled, and I dealt with suicidal ideation at times, and I definitely hit that rock bottom. And I had to really actively choose my life, and actively choose to want to feel better, and be very intentional about working at that, and choosing joy, choosing gratitude, choosing positivity. And I continue to work at that every single day, and the longer you do it, the easier it becomes, the more second nature it gets. But at first I had to be so intentional about it. And for you, it just seemed like, and of course you had your bad days, everybody does, blind or not, but you just seemed to choose joy immediately.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like my body protecting myself, like kind of like this spiritual high that I had, like, oh my God, I'm alive. You know, and slowly it keeps giving you all the information. It keeps telling you everything that happened, you know? But as I told you, after how bad it was, the accident, everything after seemed like
easy.
Yeah, everything was going good. Like, okay, we needed money for beginning the treatment if there was one, and people donated, and we could start the treatment. And one of my eyes, the eye where we couldn't take the contact off, this eye was pretty bad, and in America they told me they couldn't do anything. In Barcelona there was a solution, you know? So it seemed like life had a path for us, and like everything was going as good as it can, as good as it could go. Obviously, I was, you know, I was blind. I had a lot of like things in my nose as well. But I completely agree with you with like happiness is a choice and gratitude is a choice. And I think we all have like in a bag, like in a little backpack, like all our tools that we use in life. And I think gratitude is just like the thing that saved my life. And like waking up every day, I wake up and I say 5 things I feel grateful for every day. And you know, that might not make you rich all of a sudden, or that's not going to make my eyes completely normal again, not at all. But whenever I'm facing a negative situation and my first thought is to be negative, my second thought is to be positive.
Right.
Because that's what I'm training my brain to
exactly. And I do the same. It's sometimes the negatives are much easier to see. But when you choose to say, okay, the negative's there, but I'm going to find the positive. And you start actively doing that every single time, eventually your brain starts to see those positives more easily and more naturally. And so let's step back. You're in the hospital, you've gone through all these different treatments, and the doctors in America say, that's it, you're blind, there's nothing we can do. And in fact, they told you that they wanted to sew your eyes shut.
Yeah, the right one especially. They were like, oh, maybe the other one we can get some vision back. So yeah, they said that, and at that point, because my video went so viral, this doctor in Spain, he was like, hey, we can actually use a bone of your leg or one of your canines of your mouth. We can do this, we have processes, and we can give your sight back. So I was in pretty denial. I was like, I don't want to have to go back to Spain. I already got used to this. My friends of Seattle, they've already seen me. This is like reviving the accident all over again. But we had to do it because I had a solution and I had to follow it. So we moved back to Spain like 3 months after the accident.
What I find amazing is you're in the hospital for a few weeks. You get out of the hospital, you go home. I remember seeing this video of you and David right after you got out of the hospital. He took you to the beach, and you're feeling the stones and you're feeling the water, and he's showing you around. And you didn't have access to O&M training to learn how to use a cane. You didn't have access to learning how to use a screen reader. You didn't have access to learning life skills like cooking, but you just figured it out on your own. You just decided to figure it out, and you said, okay, I can't use the oven, but I can chop vegetables and make salad. And I can't see my clothes, but I'll reorganize my closet so I can memorize where everything is. And I'm going to do everything possible that I can do, even with no help, with no training. You just said, I'm going to be independent no matter what. And I think that's incredible. And so after 3 months of doing that, and you've learned your home, you've learned your space, you've had an amazing husband there supporting you through all of this, you have to make the decision to move back to Spain to seek this treatment in the hopes that you might restore some vision. So that's a huge, I remember having to leave my childhood home after I lost the majority of my vision, and it was really hard for me because I knew that was the last home I was ever going to live in that I could see. And this was the first time I was going to have to move to a new home without being able to see it. So I understand that exact feeling of being like, but wait, I've learned this space, I feel comfortable in this space, I healed in this space, I've gone through so much in this space, and now I have to leave and start all over again and maybe get sight back, but who knows?
Yeah, exactly, nobody knows. And also it's a way to accepting it and facing it. It's like, okay, if I'm leaving this house, I'm accepting that all this is happening. You know, it's accepting that I'm just gonna live in the darkness, and I'm just I have to learn new spaces and do as best as I can. It's hard, it's not easy.
So you decide to take the risk, you move back here. And how soon after getting back did you start your treatments here?
3 days after. Wow. Because it was a Friday, and the clinic was closed, but I got a Friday. I got to Barcelona on a Friday, and Monday we were just at the hospital, and that looked like an episode of Dr. House, all the doctors saying unpronounceable things. And I remember the doctor was really worried, and she was like, we had to take her into surgery, we're losing this eye, like it's really bad. I just remember her saying, like, it's really bad, we have to do something about it. And 2 weeks after,
Because your eye was actually shrinking.
yes, it was like kind of like a raisin. So it didn't have like pressure, so it was like losing its size.
Yes. So
Literally, yeah, like a raisin.
what was the actual cause of the blindness? What was the specific damage that was done to your eye?
So it was the cornea.
Okay.
Like what it got burned, it was the cornea, the iris, but mostly like the most superficial part.
Right.
Like at the moment, my retina and my nerve were good. When I went to the surgery, my retina, I don't know how you say it in English, but it has fallen. It has, it wasn't stuck to the globe, and that can cause blindness.
Right. Oh, retinal detachment.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Retinal detachment. So my retina was like that. So my whole eye, especially the right one, that it was like the worst one. I don't like calling him the worst. Every time I do that, I just like kind of kiss. I kind of kiss him. You're really good. But yeah, so in that moment it was really, really bad. But they were able to restore all these in the surgery. So gladly it was just like the superficial area, like cornea and yeah, cornea, conjunctiva, and a lot of other words that now I don't remember in English. So yeah.
They're rushing you into this surgery. They're saying, we're losing this eye. And this is after doctors in America already said there's no hope.
Yeah, no.
You're not, there's nothing we can do for you.
Yeah.
You come here, they're giving you this kind of last-ditch hope, but they're saying this is really bad. We need to do this ASAP, or we are going to lose this eye. Yeah. And so you go into this surgery, and what happens after that?
So what happens, well, first of all, I was like so determined about this because I was like, there's no way. We're in 2020. Like, there's no way there's not a solution for me. I don't believe you guys. It's like, did I listen to like a certified doctor with like full years of experience? No, I didn't. I was like, no, I don't believe it. I'm super young. There's technology.
This is like these, I don't know if you've seen these TikToks, but you're like the living embodiment of it. They say be delusional. Be delusional.
Yeah.
Like, live in a delusional world where you can do things that people say you can't. Where you can dream these crazy, incredible dreams, and you're delusional enough to believe that they can happen. Because when you live with this delusion, you don't give up.
Exactly. And you're always waiting to find another solution. Well, not waiting, but yeah.
And you're putting that positive energy out there. And I think that's honestly the life I've lived. I'm like, I have these big dreams and they're just gonna happen. I'm just gonna do it because I just don't think no's an option. I'm just gonna find a way to make it happen. And you did that exact same thing. You're like, all these professionals are saying, like, we're just gonna sew your eyes shut. We're losing the eye. There's nothing we can do. Even the people who said there is something we can do, you fly here, they're panicking, they're concerned, and you're like, no, it's all fine. It's gonna be fine. Everybody stop panicking.
Yeah. And it was really funny because right before they put me to sleep, I remember there was like 20 people over there. Everybody knew me, like, oh yeah, we've seen your video. Like, they knew me from social media. And right before I fell asleep, the guy was like, yeah, and don't worry about your mouth. It's not too bad. Yeah, I was like, what is going on? It was like, yeah, all the patients that I take care of after this surgery, the wound in the mouth is not so bad. I'm like, what is he talking about? And boom, I went to sleep.
You didn't know?
They told me something about it, but there was so much information.
Yes, and you've been through so much medical trauma.
Yeah.
You've just moved back. You're probably in such a
I was overwhelmed with information. Yeah. And I was like, I heard like they were about to take some part of my mouth, but I thought it was like just a little bit of skin, or like I wasn't sure of what. No, I thought it was like saliva or something. I wasn't sure. Like, I had so many questions. In America, they weren't telling me anything. Like, all this was in Spain while I was actually beginning to learn what was happening to me. So I wake up a few hours after, and I have like this huge hole in my mouth with like a full cotton, and the doctor is like, okay, Marta, you can't talk, you can't eat, you can't drink, start talking tomorrow, and maybe you'll be able to eat something like in a couple of days. And I'm like, what has happened here? They literally took a chunk of the mucus, like the skin of the inside of my mouth, to recover this eye.
Which is why your eye now has a pink appearance.
Exactly.
For my audience who's blind, can you describe your eyes? Because you were describing them to me. And one thing I love is that despite the fact that your eyes don't look like they used to, you show them with pride. You don't hide them unless you need to for sun protection.
Yeah.
You own the scarred appearance of your eyes, and I
Yeah.
think that's so important and so powerful and so amazing. And so can you, for those like me who can't see, describe?
Sure. So my eyes used to be brown, as she said. My left eye, which is technically the better one, but I actually don't see out of that eye, it has like pretty regular shape. I'm gonna say pretty in between commas because like I have pretty funky eyelashes and the eyelid is a little funky.
Right, because you
too.
burned off your eyebrows and eyelashes.
Yeah,
completely.
yeah, everything. Eyebrows, well, I burned like one of the eyebrows, but you know, gladly came back with my Spanish hair, so it's all good. But no, these eyes like basically has like the white part of the globe, and the iris, it has like a bluish color, but it's like a blue, more grayish.
Right.
It's kind of like, I don't know, if somebody has read or audiobook Game of Thrones, like how they describe the White Walkers, and just imagine like the typical witch of a movie, you know, with like funky eyes. And then the right eye, the eyelid is a little bit more funky. I just have like a couple eyelashes sticking on like in kind of bad. They're not in their place, and it's red with a black dot in it. And the black dot is actually like a hole. It's not even my pupil. But yeah, the red part is my mouth.
Literally the skin from your mouth.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And honestly, yes, regarding my appearance, I absolutely accept myself. And the only person that I want to look good for is David, my husband. And when I tell him like, oh, my eyes look like this or like that, he's like, Marta, nobody has eyes like you. Like, and I'm like,
true.
I'm just like, oh, yeah, I know. But it's, you know.
They are the sweetest couple, by the way. They are just
They're
adorable
so
together. I mean, literally before this ever happened, that's why my mom followed. She was like,
That
"You're
is
so
crazy.
cute."
I'm still blown away by that. Like, I'm still blown away. I was so curious. Like, oh, how did she find me? Maybe because of the campaign. No. That is insane.
Everybody has days, blind or not, been through what you've been through or not. Everybody has days where they feel insecure about their body,
Absolutely.
or their face, or their skin, or their hair, or their height, or their boobs. We all have like these moments where like my boobs aren't big enough, my hips are too big, I'm too short, I hate my freckles. We all have moments of feeling insecure, and the opposite is true. We all have moments where we're like, I'm beautiful, I'm amazing, I feel like a girl boss, look at how great I look in this dress. We all have those feelings, and those are normal feelings. Right? And I think it's so important to like humanize disabled experiences and feelings, because like we were saying, you have bad days when you're sighted.
Absolutely.
You have insecure days when you're sighted. You go through challenges when you're sighted. And so all of those things are true for blind people too, but so is the opposite. So is all the beauty of life.
Yeah.
I always feel really sad when I meet blind people who don't wear sunglasses to protect their eyes from the sun, or because they're light sensitive, or because they want to protect it from dust and sand, but because they're afraid of the world seeing their eyes. But because somewhere along the line, somebody or something in society has taught them that the way their eyes look isn't good and is to be covered. What would you say to the blind people who are afraid for people to see the way their eyes look?
Well, what I would tell them is like, first of all, they can't see the other person, and they don't care about their appearance. So it's not a job that it's not a job that you have to do. Like, it's a job that society has to do.
It's on the other person.
Exactly. You don't have to, and it's just, I think it's disrespectful to your own body and your life to feel ashamed of how you look, because our body is just our vehicle through life, and does a lot of things for us, like ever since you wake up until you go to sleep. Like the possibilities of like there's people who can't even eat food, or like drink water, or like get onto the sun. So if your body's functioning right, okay, you can see, you're blind, you have something, you know, like disability, okay, but there's a lot of other things that your body does for you.
Yeah.
And just rejecting a part of yourself, it's just sad. It's just sad.
Amen. Preach. Yes to all of it. I love it. And I think what you internalize, what you tell yourself, becomes true, right? And so if you tell yourself these things, that's how you're gonna feel. But if you tell yourself, like, I am beautiful as I am whole, I am good enough, I am beautiful inside and out, I'm smart, I'm talented. If you affirm yourself every day, it becomes true. You will learn to believe it. And as you said, it's on other people. If they don't accept it, if it makes them uncomfortable, they can unlearn their ableism.
Exactly.
It's not on you to make the world comfortable about who you are. It's on them to get comfortable. I'm curious to know how David, your husband, reacted and how your family, your parents reacted after hearing that you were going to be blind.
Well, David had a pretty surprising attitude, but he was fine. I kept asking him, like, do you want professional help? Do you want to talk to someone?
And you even asked him if he wanted to get divorced.
Yeah, like the third or fourth day at the hospital, I was like, okay, this is gonna be tough, but if you're gonna stay, I want you to stay because you want to stay, not because you feel sorry for me. And he was like, no, like, you're trying to dump me or something? No, I'm not going anywhere.
And you had only been together for 2 years total.
Just 2 years, but we were in love, and David loved me, and he just showed me what true love is. And our doctor, she always said, like, this will either make you or break you. And it definitely made us. But yeah, David was like really easygoing and supportive, and he said that, and you heard it. That wasn't me, but he says that I made it pretty easy.
Yeah, he was saying, I'll say it so you don't have to.
No, yeah, because I look like,
yeah,
oh.
You feel like you're, no, he was saying, and I can see why, but I think it goes both ways. He was saying that your positive attitude helped him. It made it easier for him. He felt more positive about it. And it's that what you put out, you get back, right? And I always say you teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
And so with having such a positive attitude and being like, guys, it's all going to be okay, you were helping everybody around you to believe it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And seeing your strength gave them strength. But also having a partner that was so supportive and so loving and was there to do the drops and clean your eye and do all of the things with you and be there at the hospital, I'm sure in return also gave you that strength and positivity. I'm not alone in this. I have somebody who's going to love me and support me. So it's a give and a take, and it's you gave each other what you needed. And that is a true loving, unconditional love, true partnership, which is what marriage should be.
Yes, absolutely.
Through sickness and health.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Like, we all say that, so why are people so quick to run when the sickness part happens?
Yeah.
I mean, studies show, right? Like, studies show that particularly men often leave women when they get cancer or get ill, and it's heartbreaking. Yeah.
And it's typically more, like, the percentage is higher when it's the woman who suffers the illness or the disability.
Yes.
I mean,
and you went through something. I mean, you lived through, studies show that of all disabilities, the most feared is blindness. Out of developing any disability, people fear going blind the most.
Yeah.
And you lived through what people often fear more than death. I hear that all the time. I get comments, if I went blind, I would kill myself. All the time I hear things like that. And you've been through that. So to the people who fear blindness so much, what would you say to them?
I say that I'm alive, and life is also beautiful when you don't see it. Life is also beautiful, and I remember
there's more beauty than what you see.
Yeah, of course, and you get to perceive so many other things that usually your eyes, and when I was I always say, and I said it before, that the sight is the sense of vision, the sight is something really dictatorship. It's like a dictatorship. Because you're having so much information that you're ignoring a lot of other things.
Right.
Or for example, judging people. Sometimes if you see somebody, you'd be like, oh, this person, and you're already making an image of themselves. Mm-hmm. And you maybe haven't even talked to them just because of how they look. That is just so ugly, you know? Mm-hmm. And I remember if this didn't, if the part of the medical part wasn't there, especially at the beginning because it was really hard, David and we were fine. And I remember one time, he was driving, we were in the car, and he was like, hey, this happened, and yeah, you're blind, but we're good. Like, we're happy. This is good. And you know, I remember I was like, thank you, you know, for being, for trying to find passion in other things, you know. And it's also like, it's about being curious in life.
Yeah.
If you have curiosity, you can explore and be like, okay, I'm gonna travel. How can I find pleasure in traveling if I can see? It's not about seeing buildings, you know.
Yeah.
It's way more than that. Same as like seeing the people, you know. So yeah, it's about exploring, being curious. Just don't give up. And David was just phenomenal at that. My parents, honestly, I don't have any complaints because they were super supportive as well. And they just wanted the best for me, and it was beautiful just to see how we all learned together. Obviously, it was hard in some moments. How I was telling you before, the day that I took my cane for the first time and started walking, I couldn't even tell my dad because he was so like scared with that. Like, he didn't want me to get hurt. And
well, he had his daughter halfway around the world go through this crazy freak accident.
Exactly.
And he, I'm sure, was so scared after seeing how much it impacted your life.
Exactly.
So scared that was going to happen again.
Exactly. Like
I'm sure this traumatized all of you in your own ways.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, like, going blind is everybody's experience, right? Like, I always say sometimes I think it was easier to be the one going blind than to be my parents or my brother having to watch me.
I say the same thing.
Because I can't imagine what it was like for them feeling helpless.
Yes.
And it is everybody's journey. It is everybody's experience. Even when you feel like you are alone in this, all of the people in your life are going through this with you in their own ways.
Yeah, because it's hard to become blind, but it's also hard to know how to live with a blind person.
How to help them, how to support them,
exactly.
What's too much, what's not enough,
Exactly.
what's the right way, what's offensive.
Yeah.
And that's why content like ours matters, because it's there to help the people who want to or need to know but don't have a resource.
Exactly. And even like the little things of like, okay, we're having a gathering, we're like gathering all together for lunch, and stupid things like before, like never mentioned, the doors can be middle way open. They have to be either closed or opened because Marta can get hurt. The chairs have to be in its place because if not, you know, it's another obstacle.
Yes.
So stupid things of the daily life that my parents also had to learn. But I think it was really beautiful because obviously with like bad parts and bad moments, just like in every family, it was just a matter of like exploring and learning together. And they always accepted me. They didn't care like the shape of my eyes. They didn't care if I was going with a cane. It's like, why would we be freaking out about something that it's a tool?
It's you.
That helps
who you are now.
Exactly.
Yeah, you feel good, and that's what matters. You're alive, that's what matters. You're being independent. You're learning a new skill, that's what matters. And again, like, that's what love is. Like, people who love you want the best for you. They're not embarrassed that you're walking around with a cane. They're proud of you, and they're happy that you're getting that independence back.
Yeah.
They're so grateful that you're utilizing a tool that's going to keep you safe. So you mentioned being able to see again. Hi, sorry for the jump scare. Molly from the future here. My editor Robin and I have been working on editing this video, and the original video was 1 hour and 15 minutes long because Marta is clearly an incredible person with a fascinating story. And so I've decided to break this down into 2 parts, but trust me, you want to come back for part 2 because her story has an amazing twist and you will not believe where she is today and what's been going on in her life. Part 2 will come out in a few days, so make sure your notification bell is on. But until then, if you want to follow Marta, all her details are in the description box below. Until next time, you can click over here for this recent video I posted, or over here for this one. See you soon.